Hey everyone, this is Daniel and I'm super stoked that you are here now watching this video. I had a guy named Martin Price joining with me, talking all about the importance of branding and how it is relevant not just for the big players in the industry, but also for the little ones. So basically everyone. Why everyone should be spending their focus and time on their branding, on their messaging. Why is it so crucial? What are the B players doing? I mean, we also talked about companies such as Adidas and Nike and what their branding is, what comes to mind when we think about those companies. It was really awesome. I had a ton of fun. You are in for a treat. And just an FYI, guys, this was a live experience inside my Authority Hackers Facebook group. If you're not a member yet, I would highly appreciate it if you can join us. So next time you can, enjoy the live experience. We host a weekly expert talk just like this. So there is a link button below, and also consider subscribing if you're not really aware of what this channel is all about. You'll find many interviews and many talks about digital marketing. It's really awesome. I hope that you'll have fun in the interview. And that is it. Bye bye, guys.
Thank you for having me so much, and I really appreciate it because you've got a lot going on in your group. And if you can hear, there's the printer going off in the background because I'm just printing something off. Apologies for that. But so, as online marketers, we focus a lot on the products and the process and the traffics and the leads, all of that kind of thing. But I don't know about you guys. At some point, you need to think about your brand and where that fits into it. And I just did you're going to see part of the presentation up on the screen shortly, but it got me thinking because we were going through my 5-day challenge and it was called the Content Creation Challenge. I had some guys in there beta testing it for me and it was immense. And then a light bulb went off in my head where I just thought, you know what, we're starting to talk about branding here. And one part of the presentation was around branding. And so I thought, I need to do a course on this. So that's the next phase for me as well, is to do a course on branding because everything we do relates back to us and our brand. So looking at, I've got numerous companies and you'll see, obviously this is one of my companies is called What Online Global. And so, yeah, I've got the What t-shirt, but I've got other companies. One is my IT consultancy company is called Inspired Project Management. I wanted a word that is inspirational and motivational for people, so I called it Inspired Project Management. And then I've got a number of properties that I rent out, and that's also called Inspired Properties. So it gives people that confidence, in my brand and what I'm all about. So the story behind What Online Global was I was thinking of a name for the company that I wanted to set up for the digital agency and what I'm doing online. And I do affiliate marketing as well. And I just thought, what is it that we type into Google or the search engines? And it's things like, what's the capital city of Angola? And if you don't know that, it's Luanda. And the only reason I know that is because I've been there. Things like, what do the UK and the USA plan to do about trade after Brexit? Things like that. And then what are Facebook and Google doing with all our data? So these are the type of things that you type into a search bar, the what kind of questions. So I just thought, What Online Global? And I wanted to look kind of international as well, which is why I called it global. So that's the kind of reason behind where I started to think about branding. So, I'd say to the people that are watching this presentation, either on the replay or live now, let us know what your brand is. Put your brand into the comments and let us know what your brand is and then how it relates to what you are. And so, yeah, the bits that I'm going to go through tonight are part of the Content Creation Challenge where we talked about branding and what it means. So shall I switch to the presentation view, Daniel?
Yeah, I think we'll be awesome.
Cool.
Guys, so Martin basically prepared us some awesome presentation from his challenge, which I think will be a great thing to show if you really explain how things are going inside. And yeah, you can feel free to switch it. I think that you only need well, you already know how StreamYard is work.
I hope so. Let's see if we get technical problems.
Yeah. I hope that we
Okay,
don't face any of those.
so I'll share the screen and then we'll dive in.
Sure, sounds awesome.
Uh,
Yeah, I can see that.
You
Awesome.
got
Would
that?
you like me to remove cameras and just focus on that? What do you think?
Yeah, if you can, that would be cool for now. And then I'll go
Yeah.
back to us once the, because there's only 3 slides here, but I'm going to do a lot more talking after that to go
Okay.
into a bit more detail of what's behind it.
Okay.
So here's the content creation challenge was the name of the course, and a subset of that is obviously the branding element. So the first question is, what does it mean to you? When you think about branding, what are the words or the concepts that spring to your mind? So for me, it started off when I was thinking about it as advertising, the logo, the colors, the price, things when you do marketing, the public relations side of things. Now, what I'm going to go into is a massive brand, an international brand out there that everybody will have heard of, and what that means to people. So everybody knows that swoosh, right? It's so popular, and it's even got its own name, obviously. Nike and the swoosh are synonymous, and the phrase "just do it" is synonymous with Nike as well. What do you think when you see Nike? This is the question I want to pose to you, because when you're thinking of your own brand and how you are perceived out there, you've got to think, what do people see when they look at me, either in social media or on your website or wherever they stumble across you? What do they see? So Nike, we've got a few examples here of what the perception is of that brand. So it's achievement, it's quality, it's design, it's technology, it's hip and trendy, it's all of these words, it's sport. And then there are sub branches of Nike, aren't there? There's the trainers side of things. And then there's the kind of the corporate sponsorship and all of those good things. Now, you'll notice on this slide that there are a couple of negative connotations as well. So big brands don't always get it right. I don't know if you remember, but many years ago, not that long ago, but many years ago, Nike were outed for using child labor. And it was just, phenomenal that they were caught out and paying minimum wage in third world countries and sponsoring that kind of activity. And obviously, they've had to rebuild their reputation. So branding is about reputation, obviously. And Nike had a lot of unpicking to do of that reputation when they were found out about child labor. And the other thing is that's not completely positive is that the perception is that they're expensive. In comparison to some other brands, some people perceive them as expensive. So I don't know if there are any other words that you can think of around branding, but this is what springs to mind when you think about Nike. And like I just mentioned right at the start, if you think about your own brand, what springs to mind when someone clicks on your social media platform, on your YouTube, on your Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or on your website? What is the first thing that they see? Can I dip out of this, Daniel, and go to my website quickly to show what my website looks like?
Yeah, for
Is that
sure.
okay?
A
Yeah.
live example, I think would be great.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing I've tried to do with my my website is make it look like freedom. So let me know if you can see this. I'll just wait for the screen to catch up. I think it's on there. And it's basically a coaching website, and people can buy my services. And what I wanted them to do is when they get onto this website, it's not like a typical website where there's lots of stuff going on. It just shows them a few items like the top headlines and the major headline of start living the life you deserve to live, and then how to grow your business online. And then they click for a free business diagnostic. And then in the top right there, you can see my social media channels. Now, I'm not active on maybe 2 of those very much because it's too difficult to stay on top of if you're just working by yourself. And like I said at the start, I own an IT consultancy. That is the day job. I've got properties. I'm a single dad. I trade currencies in the stock market. So life is busy. So that's one of the reasons that I can't keep on top of all of my social media. But as you can see, it's a really simplistic design. And what I want to show people is that, they click on it and they get a free business diagnostic. They can actually scroll down to, learn a bit about me and all of that kind of thing. But that's what I wanted them to do. Now, if you've seen Russell Brunson talks about websites as just a brochure. You know, these newsletters or things that come through your front door, people sometimes just look at the front cover and then they put it into the bin. And it's similar with websites and similar with your social media platforms. If you think about your brand, you need people to stay there, and you need a call to action to click, and you need them to you need their email address or some form of contact so that they come back. Otherwise, they're lost forever. That's the usual pattern that happens with websites and potentially your social media. So that's exactly what I was trying to do here, is make sure that I've got that free business diagnostic and call to action straight there. So we'll dip back into the presentation now. So we've talked about Nike, what it means to you. There's some of the things that branding is all about. It's not everything. You know, we just looked at Nike and the example there of what Nike stands for. Achievement, all of these things, the design, it's second to none. It is one of the market leaders out there. So, yeah, you are no one until you're someone. So I can't remember where I found this, but it is an absolutely phenomenal statement when you think about it, because until people know who you are, then they're not going to find you. You know, to rank on Google in the top 10 on the first page or second page is getting more difficult and challenging unless you are really low down and niching down on what you've got. So you're nobody until you're someone. Make sure that you build those relationships with people that find you and grab their details, either in social media where you can have that relationship. Now, Facebook, you know, Daniel knows this all well and good, and your viewers probably know this all well and good, but if Facebook is your main platform, then you will have that relationship that you are building over time with your brand. So guys, whoever's watching either live or on the replay, drop in your first platform that you're using for your branding. Is it your website? Is it your social media? Is it Facebook? Is it Twitter? Is it YouTube? Is it Instagram? Is it now TikTok? Because that's the new kid on the block, isn't it? So let us know in the comments where you sit. You may be across all of them, but unless you've got a team behind you, like a lot of the big guns out there, it's difficult to get your brand massive across all of them. So focus on one, possibly two for now, and focus on those really, really heavily. Okay, so we talked about Nike. Are they the best? Well, to some people they are. To other people, they prefer, I don't know, Adidas, or they prefer Under Armour or something different to Nike. Are they the only ones? No. There are lots of other brands out there, clearly, that are doing just as well as Nike, and they do other things. Nike does what they do, Adidas do what they do, which there's massive overlap. Same with New Balance and Puma and all those other brands. They do overlap, but they also have their own sub-niches of what their brand is all about. Are Nike cheap? Well, that depends on your perception of the value. We'll come on to pricing in a little bit, but again, the price is totally, the value drives the price, doesn't it? If you think that that company and the brand is worth it, then the perception is that it's cheap. If you think Nike is expensive, then maybe you buy cheaper brands. I don't know what your view is on Nike. I absolutely love them. I don't always buy their kit, but when I do, I'm really, really impressed with what they do. So have a think about your values for your own company. So if we put this into perspective, is your brand the best out there? No, categorically, I will probably say no. If you're watching this, then then you probably aren't the world leader, the global leader yet. It might be that you can become that at some point, but think about whether you can be the best. If you can't be the best, are you the only one? Because if you're swimming in, you know, another concept is the blue ocean and the red ocean. If you're swimming in the blue ocean, then there's less competition and you've got more chance of hooking people to buy your thing. If you're swimming in the red ocean, then it's going to be more challenging for your brand to stand out against the likes of, I don't know, Dean Graziosi, if you're in the coaching sphere arena, Dean Graziosi, you know, Brendan Burchard, those kind of people, you're up against them. So pitch yourself where you can stand out from the rest of the crowd. And the race to the bottom is a really, really sad place to go. So don't just think you need to make stuff cheap to make your brand stand out, because if you try and offer $1, $5, $10, $20 products, you have to sell thousands of them. So again, with your brand in mind, think about where your price point is. And Nike aren't the cheapest. They're not the most expensive either, but they're not the cheapest. So just pitch yourself where you believe that you can work out the best return on the investment, your investment of time, your investment of whatever it is that you're creating, your products, your services, whatever. Okay, it is not just for the big corporations. So if you've got 100 loyal customers, then that might be fine. If you have a really tight niche, like, I don't know, Bentley or someone like that, you know, Learjets, they don't sell hundreds of thousands of these things. They have a really small niche of people, and they are really loyal branding customers that love those brands. Or some companies sell tens of millions of products at the lower end of the scale. It's about shared meaning with your audience and your customer base, and they have to be passionate about you and what your thing is. So think about your thing and how do you get the passion from your audience and your customers and your clients, because if you do, you're going to get repeat custom. And again, it's over the other side of the slide, it talks about commodity, so I'll go into that in a minute, but you want repeat custom because they are the easiest people to sell to once you've sold them once. They obviously like something that you do, they like your brand and what you stand for, so make sure that they're going to come back, okay? And then they're also likely to share what you have. If they love it, they're going to be an advocate and they will really share with all of their closest, nearest and dearest what you've got and what you're putting in front of them. So the next bullet is basically saying if you've got 10,000 non-committed customers, it's a very weak brand. And if you are just selling one-off items to them, that is not a really strong brand, because it's difficult to keep getting new customers all the time. That takes a lot of energy and a lot of effort. Over the right-hand side there, we talk about the commodity sales and how tough it is to be the cheapest. You know, there are always going to be someone that can undercut you and be cheaper than you. There is always going to be someone that's better than you, but you can't focus on that. Use what they have and model what they have, because you can learn some lessons from what the best in your niche and your market are doing and model exactly what they're doing. And like we've just said, if you've got 10,000 non-committed customers, you will need to make sure that you are selling tens and tens of thousands of these things. Brand and repeat customers are the easiest and warm traffic to market to. Once you've made that initial sale, these people, providing you market to them correctly and your brand values stand, your morals and your brand values stand out, then they are likely to come back. And then there'll be advocates like the other bullet where they're going to share exactly what it is that you've got. So make sure that your brand stands out, so that these people that have already bought from you once, you offer them something else. And it's called the value ladder, isn't it? And the ascension funnel, where you sell them something at $50, I don't know. And then the next step is a deeper dive into whatever they've just bought, or a more expensive version, or 2 or 3 of those quantities of your product in the ascension value ladder. So think about your brand and getting repeat custom where you can. You may be your brand. I know I've put here that you are your brand. You may be, you may not be. So it doesn't matter if it's you. It doesn't matter if you sit behind the scenes, if you're a traditional brick and mortars business and you have properties with a brand name over it. It's not a problem as well. In the UK, we've got Toolstation, and we've got, Screwfix, who are similar hardware type stores, and I know in the States they've got things like Macy's and all of those big things, but there's not necessarily a face to those. Even though Apple had Steve Jobs, he was the kind of forefront or the face of Apple. He wasn't the brand. Apple is the brand. So if you are your brand, you need to think about how you come across in all of those places that we talked about before as well. And if it's social media, make sure that your behavior is so professional that people realize that your brand is, the morals and the integrity of your brand, if that's you, are really second to none. So you are your brand. Make sure that across all of your social media, across all of your interactions and the communication channels, that you are behaving impeccably. Find your voice. Now, in this modern time of social media, it is everywhere. It is everything. If you own a traditional business and you're not all over social media, then you really are missing out. And if you own just an online business or an online marketing business, then you will know all too well how important social media is. But if you are your brand, you need to be out there. Either your preferred medium may be written, but that's fine. You can, on your email list or in your social media platforms, put some written posts out there, blog type posts or hints and tips, 5 top tips for something, 6 strategies for something else. Find your voice. If your voice is written, then get that out there as often as you can so that people are seeing your brand here, there, and everywhere. If your preferred medium is audio, set up an Anchor podcast. That is free and it's so easy to do. And what you can do is rehash that material into written then as well. So you can transfer a lot of the mediums across from one to the other. So basically find your voice and what it is all about, what your company is all about, and what your services and your products are for the people that are viewing. So your voice could be in written format, it could be in video format. Now, video format is really strong at the moment. And so, I would suggest that if you are comfortable in the camera, in front of the camera, get in front of the camera, because from that, I don't know if you've seen Gary Vaynerchuk's, framework for micro content from a huge piece of content, but he's got 2-hour presentations that he can create like 30 more pieces of micro content from that big piece of content. So from a video, you can rip it to audio with a free tool that I've got. It's absolutely immense. And rip it to audio, and then you can transcribe that into smaller pieces also of the written format as well. So you can have so much content just from one piece of content that you put out there. So that's about finding your voice. You are your voice and you need it out there as frequently as you possibly can, right? So make sure that it is out there. And the final one, I've just said, put your brand into the comments down below, because this was obviously part of my content creation challenge, the C-cubed brand there, presentation that I did and my challenge that I did in my group a couple of weeks ago. So put your brand, if you've got one, into the comments down below. Let us know if you're on the replay, put #replay and then your brand or your company and what it is, what it stands for down below. Let us know what it is. Okay, so Daniel, I think we're going to cut back to our faces now.
Yeah.
And I'm going to carry on because I've got a few more things to add here. So in that first example, when we were talking about Nike, I've got a story from when I was at school. And I was basically, one of my friends had a pair of branded trainers. I was probably 8 or 9, and he came into school and they were glowing, black and white, looked stunning. And I was really jealous, but my parents didn't have the money. So what I did, I got a paper round and started delivering newspapers with my older brother, and our dad helped as well. And I bought this pair of Adidas Kick trainers. And I was just so over the moon with this. But the moral to this story is the fact that I had some cheapy, crappy, there were probably 4-stripe Adidas, and he'd come into school with these nice branded trainers, and it worked. Free advertising for Adidas, it was Adidas all over them, made me want to go out and buy these trainers. So I went out and bought them. And so that's the kind of thing that you need to think of with your own brand. Where's it going to be seen? Who's going to see it? And what does it look like? That first perception, those first impressions, we've got 7 to 10 seconds now to grab someone's attention. What are those first perceptions of your brand? How do you come across to that audience? So it's a shared meaning. Back to the point of branding, it's a shared meaning, and it's kind of your purpose. What do you stand for as a company, and what's your mission statement? So I've got a couple of examples in front of me on some notes here. Does anybody know what Facebook's mission statement is and their vision? If you haven't looked it up, look it up, because I just Google searched as part of my research for the up and coming branding course that I'm creating. I did some research, and there was an article that had 52, I think, top companies' branding names. But here's Facebook's: to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. So that is their brand vision. That is their mission statement. You need to put this in the context of your own brand as well. Do you have a mission statement? I would hope that you've all got business plans if you're in business. And in that business plan, you should have your vision and your mission statement as the outcome of exactly what you're hoping to achieve with your audience. So that's one. The second one is PayPal. Now, you either love them or you hate them. A lot of varied experiences with PayPal, but they are one of the market leaders, and their mission statement is to build the web's most convenient, secure, cost-effective payment solution. We could argue whether they do that or not, but that is their brand, and that is their mission statement and their purpose, what they stand for. So there are a couple of examples. Oh, the dog's coming to say hello now. I've got to ignore him. So there are a couple of examples of top company brands out there. Put this in the context of your own business. What do you stand for? And the next thing I was going to talk about was the customer experience, because as and when someone stumbles on you or finds your brand, you need to build a brand experience for them. What is that first touch point? It's all about, the customer journey is about touch points through meeting you, stumbling on your website, stumbling on your Facebook or your Instagram or whatever, and then what happens from there. So if you know about the customer journey, then you will understand what I'm trying to say. It's basically, if you go into a store, let's say I go into Screwfix that I mentioned earlier on, the experience there is that there's catalogs absolutely everywhere. Generally, you know what you're going in for, and it's quite a cold experience, because it's a merchant type place where you go in, you buy some screws, or you buy a lawnmower, you know exactly what you're getting. Other places, like, I don't know, we have Sports Direct, or a big superstore for trainers and clothes, sports brands and things like that. You go into that store and it's bright colors everywhere, and it's like they put the stuff right by the front door that's the latest models and things like that. So that customer journey is how the touch points going through that store when they walk through. IKEA is another great example, isn't it? Because you've got to go through all of those places, and the way that they funnel you through all of the aisles, it's just ridiculously crazy how they push you through all of those. And then you get to the checkout aisles and there's all the shit. Am I allowed to swear? Sorry. You get to all the tat at the end, and you buy plant pots and everything as you're checking out. So, these are the kind of things, that customer journey. What are the touch points that the customer is going to go through when they meet with you? If they click on your websites or on your social media, bam, what's the first thing you hit them with? Okay, so this is your brand, and these are the kind of things that you need to think about. What's your identity? What do you stand for? Back to that mission statement and the values. What's your promise? What's the purpose of your business? Ultimately, you're in business, so it's to make money. But the perception from the customer is obviously they need the value of what you are offering. What is your position to make sure that they are benefiting from that experience with you, to make them want to come back as well? So that's the kind of things that you need to think about. What's your brand? What's your purpose? What's the position and your promise? If you're confident about what you're offering, give that money back guarantee, or give them a promise of they will get better, those outcomes of what they will achieve as a result of buying your product or going through your training. What is that outcome? You've got to give that as your branding promise. So one final story before I'm done, because it's only a brief presentation, obviously. So I think I network quite well. And when I got my first IT consultancy, I didn't finish college, same old story as everybody. They say, didn't finish my degree and all the rest of it, but I've got qualifications. I think, I always say this when I meet people, I think I'm intelligent, but I'm not necessarily academic. And there's a difference there, isn't there? I can get by in studies. I work hard in studies, but I think I'm relatively intelligent. Anyway, I got that first contract ahead of the MD interviewed me, And I got that contract, which is a very lucrative contract, ahead of a lot of overqualified people that just didn't resonate or connect, because I am my brand. And the way that I came across to that MD, he bought into me. I was the brand, and he bought into me as a persona and my values and the kind of message that I gave him. I don't know if you know about network marketing, but I did it probably, how old am I, 28, 25 years ago. There's a company in the States called Amway, and I'm assuming it's still running. I don't know if we're going to get in trouble talking about this, but it's network marketing, and I did it 25 years ago, maybe longer. I was about 21, something like that. And the whole idea is you go around to people, and it started off as friends and family. Horrendous. Don't do that. Fully recommend staying away from friends and family. I used to go around and do presentations at the age of 20, 21 in people's lounges, get the whiteboard up and draw it all out, because I'm great at networking. It was really successful for me, even though I was only 21. I was doing presentations to people twice my age, 40, 50 years old, and they were buying into it. I had a team of like 25, 30 people underneath me, loved what I did. And the upline folks that used to promote me then to everybody else as an example used to brand me like the hot new thing, look at this young guy, he's out there, he's crushing it, and use me as an example because I was my brand and I resonated with those people out there. So that's the final thing. I wanted to end on that little story about, connect the dots. Make sure that if you are the brand, you need to be out there, you need to be putting yourself out there in front of people. Look at your integrity, look at your morals, and look at the pound signs. Think about what the benefits and the outcomes are going to be for your customer base. And like I said right at the start, this is just a really short presentation as part of my content creation challenge. I'm now going into a full branding course that's going to come in, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks when I can get around to it. There's just so much going on, but that's just a brief kind of tip of the iceberg look at what branding's all about. And Daniel, I really hope your audience loved it.
I liked it myself. I learned a lot. So, and I'm sure that this will be helpful for so many people. Guys, before I also would like to give my recap of, because you said a lot of great things, and I'd like to give also my opinion on that. Make sure to add your questions below if you have any for Martin, because we are going to stay here a bit longer to answer all those questions. So if you have any, just shoot them down. And I just want to say the presentation was amazing. I really liked it. I think that you beautifully explained that. And I just like the topic. When you came up to me with the whole branding topic for the live event, I thought it was a great idea, because I think that branding is most of the time really overlooked. And that is also why I really like the powerful headline, "Think branding is not for you, only for the big guys. Think again." This is really overlooked, and I just want to mention that I think that you can be successful without branding, but from my experience and from my perspective, let's say, usually it's not a long-term game. Okay, I have on my friend list on Facebook alone, I think, well, at least like 10, 15 kind of fellows that I know for a fact make a lot of money, but I just hate the fact that they stand for nothing. It can be that I don't like the thing that they do stand for. It might be my thoughts on them maybe not having enough integrity or not being authentic enough with their audience. It might be the idea that they're just willing to do anything to just make a quick buck. It can be so many things. And I want you to know that there's so much behind that. There's so many thoughts. There's so many strategies. Brands spend millions just on the little things that make them stand out, that makes you think better about themselves. Because people come to you and to your website because of your offers, right? But they stay because of how you make them feel. They buy because of how others will look at them when they do purchase it. And that's actually like a very funny reference that you had there about Nike and about Adidas. And why do I think it's funny? Because Adidas, I don't know how people see Adidas in the world, but I can tell you from experience how it is looked on in Israel, for example, in the country that I live in. So as a child, I never got and I never understood why do some people spend 10x the amount of money on shoes that looks exactly the same with just a little bit branding behind it, with those three lines? Okay, I was also the kind of fellow that bought the knockoffs. Okay, I had Adidas with four lines, because I never got that, and it wasn't important for me. And it was only when I got to read and learn about marketing, when I learned about the whole status importance, that people buy because of status. People buy because how they think it will make them look. People are willing to buy cars and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars because it will make them feel like they're big or they're important, and not just because of the look. They can buy, I don't know, like Teslas, because maybe they want some other people to look at them and say, okay, this kind of fella, I like him. He stands for the environment. He stands for a great cause. I like the thing that he stands for, his ideas. I mean, there's so much behind it, not just because of how it makes them look. Well, it does how it makes them look, but in another like level. So it can show about your character, about the things he stands for, about your look, about your personality, about all sorts of things. And you had really amazing points. I liked all of it. The
Thank
point in
you.
which you made that you think people should focus on one platform. I was suffering from that. I was acting like I'm Gary Vee, but guy, I'm not. I'm not Gary Vee. I don't have a whole team of content creators that can just do all sorts of magic and make me viral on Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and whatever, on TikTok as well. I don't have that. I mean, I can outsource for sure, but it would be really awesome if you can focus on the platforms that are really, really, on top of your priorities. I mean, if your customers hang out on Facebook, and Facebook can be a great platform, focus on that. If they are still or also on TikTok, yes, it can be powerful, but what can be more powerful is you focus your attention on the number one platform. That's my thought on this. And again, all of that was amazing. I had a lot of points, but I don't remember. Definitely start writing them down, because well, it seems and it looks and people see how passionate you are about that, and the references and the added research, and how Facebook sees or trying to brand themselves, and how PayPal does that. I for one love PayPal because it saved me in so many scenarios, but I know that 95% of my friends hate them with all their guts because of their limitations and things and how they handle situations. But PayPal is what got me into business, because I couldn't do business without PayPal, and I don't have Stripe. Stripe does not support Israel, so thank you, PayPal, for
Wow.
allowing me to do business. So that is pretty much it. Those are pretty much my thoughts. And guys, again, I'm reminding you, if you'd like to ask anything about branding or about something even completely else, make sure to drop it down below.
And
And I
even
don't
if we don't see it now, Daniel, we can watch it on the. If people watch the replay, I'll see the questions, and then I can answer them afterwards, obviously, and it's not a problem if it's on the replay.
Yeah, for sure. That will be awesome, guys. We never just, we always go back. It's always inside a group. The replay is automatically uploaded, just like, it's on Facebook, so you automatically can see it after a couple of minutes when we finish. And yeah, that is it. And Martin, I'd like to really thank you for that, because I think it was a really great one. And I'm sure the whole challenge is interesting and amazing, just like this one. And it was really awesome. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, and I hope there was some value in there for your audience. And yeah, if people watch it on the replay and they've got questions, just throw them in the notes, and yeah, I'll answer them as and when I see them, because I'm obviously a member of the group.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I actually just remembered. I
Go,
wanted to share
go.
the Adidas story. Maybe it would just be interesting to you, but I don't know, guys. Because I started to say about how Adidas is actually being looked at in Israel, and I didn't finish that. So it is a funny reference that you had there, because Adidas, for one, is example. Well, again, I don't have any idea how people in the UK see Adidas or how Americans see Adidas, but in Israel, I think it's very funny because they have a very specific kind of audience. they have the audience that you might not think that they would have or attract. But it's kind of, well, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't call them like, I don't know, there's no word for it in English, I
You
think.
need to be polite.
Well, it is kind of like thugs. I assume it's funny. We have a word for it. It is called
Right.
art. Ars in Hebrew, everyone knows what an ars is, but in English, no one knows. So again, there's, I
Well,
don't
arse
think.
means something very different in English.
Oh yeah, there's well, there's a. It's not writing like that. There is an
Yeah.
R in it.
Okay.
Uh, Basically, it's like the kind of thug fellow, the kind of like no, I wouldn't say maniac, but there's a very specific personality. It's either like very very, and it's not just me thinking about that. I had that exact discussion with so many people. There's a specific age, if you're still wearing Adidas and it's not like only shoes or only pants for like gym workouts, if you're like the all outfit and the long kind of clothes and everything Adidas, it's like it is kind of thug look, and all
Wow.
I mean, everyone sees that way. It's
Yeah.
quite a lot of fun. It's very funny. Even I mean, my mother, everyone. I mean, when I was wearing that, when I was like 12, people started to let me know, dude, you don't want to wear that. You don't look good. You look like a thug. So it's very very interesting how they, I don't know if it was an intentional, I don't know if they try to do that this way, but that's how people in Israel sees that. Again, if you're like over 12 or 13 years old, this is how you come across, and it's standing out. Everyone knows that, and everyone looks at this way. So it's kind of weird, kind of awesome. It's kind of very interesting.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, it's the same with any brand, isn't it? People judge based on, like you were just saying about car manufacturers. People, I don't know about Israel, but in the UK, people used to judge you if you drove a Skoda. They were unreliable, they broke down, they were horrendous. Now VW Audi own them and they bought it more upmarket. It's not a Tesla, it never will be, but they know where their market is and the brand that Skoda is. And so, yeah, it's people judge no matter what the brand is, and that's what I was trying to make the point of. Is people will judge you no matter what. There will be people that don't resonate with you, full stop. You won't convert those people. Focus on the kind of perfect avatar, the perfect customer that you can take through that journey, give them those benefits, and then give them the outcome that they are desiring at the end. So you'll never convert everybody. Don't worry about the haters. They're always going to be there.
Exactly. Again, said perfectly. And guys, again, this is what this might look like not really important or for different levels in business, but again, this is I think the only difference between a shoe that costs $20 and a shoe that costs $12,000. Okay, this is the difference. I have these friends. I hate that he does it, but he purchases clothes for like sometimes hundreds of dollars. Every time that he tells me, Daniel, I bought these pants. Guess how much they cost me? And he just let me know the price. I just hate it. I hate how he spends so much money. But it's because this brand makes my friend look at this specific way, or he thinks that by wearing it, people will look at him like he stands behind this brand, or he likes, or he stands for those kind of ideas and thoughts, and maybe he look like better or wealthier. There's a lot of people who wear specific things not because they like it, but because they want other people to think about themselves that, I don't know, they are wealthy and rich and all sorts of stuff. So
It's
again,
true.
this is exactly why I think this is the only reason why you can price your items this way. I mean, there's no logical sense for why a shoe would cost $12,000. I'm sorry, that's not a gold kind of shoe. That's
I
not a.
think you made an important point there, though, about people's companies and the prices that they pitch themselves at. I touched on it in the presentation, but people, like I said, either have to pitch themselves really cheap or really expensive. The sweet spot is somewhere in between. You don't want to be the cheapest. And if you're not a known brand, you can't be the most expensive because people aren't going to buy from you. People pay Gary Vee like $40,000 to do a presentation or $100,000 to do a presentation. They wouldn't pay me. I could probably present just as good as Gary, but because I'm an unknown brand, nobody will pay me that. I have to pitch myself at the level where I know that people will pay it and people will come and people will pay attention. At some point in the future, they might pay me that, but hey, we can all hope.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was Jay Abram, but I don't want to misquote him, saying that if you cannot be the cheapest one, there's no strategic advantage of being the second cheapest.
Yeah, yeah.
People always try to justify. I mean, they look at themselves; they don't convert very well. They cannot scale. So their first thought is just lowering the price. But this is like an impossible battle because other brands can do that too, and you're just fighting over lower and lower margins until you starve, until your business dies.
Yeah.
It is impossible, and I think it's kind of sad that people just try to play by the price instead of where maybe the quality in which they serve or the amount of content ideas that they try to develop.
Yeah.
And well, I guess that's the kind of default answer to that because it's the easiest one, obviously. Well, it looks easy. I mean, I'll just cut off the prices, but actually it's like the toughest decision ever because if you're already unable to scale, how would make your services even cheaper allow you to scale? I mean, it's almost impossible to do that. Again, unless you are the cheapest one, again, no strategic advantage of being the second one. I mean, there will always be a cheaper one. You can lower
absolutely. Did you buy ClickFunnels, Russell Brunson's Lead Funnels ebook or document?
I have
117 examples of lead funnels, right?
Yeah.
For $7. For you and me to create that would take hours and hours and hours. He throws it out there. His audience is hundreds of thousands of people. So from that $7 ebook, he has made lots of thousands. For you and me to do that, we can't pitch it at $7. We'd have to give it away free, probably. So this is the difference in that price point at $7, isn't it, as well? He can do that because he just grabs you into the funnel. And at the same time, he's selling you on $7. You go through the funnel, you buy something 47, 297. So, but yeah, for you and I to do that, the competition is massive. I said about the blue ocean, red ocean. The competition is massive at the bottom. It's pointless pitching yourself at $7, $27.
Yeah, I think also Russell is an amazing example because he built quite a loyal fan list. I think people just buy everything. This is why I think, well, all of his books, excluding just not the last one, the work book with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins. I have 5 books of traffic secrets. I have all the versions of experts and .com secrets. I just buys everything that he launches. I'm the kind of guy that he launched something, I buy, and then I just check out what I bought.
Exactly.
He is amazing at that. And this is
he's a master marketer, and his branding is absolutely phenomenal.
He does that by constantly sharing value, innovating stuff. This is like the definition of an attractive character. One who cares, people like what he stands for, he builds a lot, he contributes, he does all these projects, he has his all website filled out with pictures in I think it's in Africa, how he builds schools, how he does that. I mean, he has everything figured out. He laid it out beautifully. And Expert Secrets is a book that I'm currently rereading because he updated it and added all those pages. And again, he's doing it beautifully.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So again, Martin, I know that we already half finished. I mean, we said that we finished, and then we added extra 15 minutes.
Yeah,
but
no problem.
Was really awesome, and I enjoyed it really, really much. So thank you for that.
No, thank you so much for having me. And speaking of Russell Brunson, I'm going to dive back into the 2 Comma Club virtual summit now live, and it's 11 hours a day, and it's intense, but for the money it costs, it's real value. But I'm going to dive back into that. But thank you so much for having me. And if there are any questions, I'm more than happy to answer.